Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Rivalz Race Chat here as we get ready to roll into the 2024 racing season. Adam, Happy New Year. How's it going?
Happy New Year to you. We're hanging in there, man. It's exciting to roll into 2024. People are starting to make announcements, starting to make their plans clear. It's a lot of fun, you know. For many years, as tragic as social media can be, and as toxic as social media can be, for many years the grapevine was a much slower moving machine. Now it can keep up with what people are up to, minute to minute, and we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, as with every new year comes new changes, new drivers move into different places, and some of them are staying where they are, and we've got a couple of them coming on tonight to talk about that and to try and keep the plans going the same. Dave Axton is with us. It is Chili Bowl week. Dave had his qualifying night last night, so Dave is going to join us to talk about just the atmosphere of the Chili Bowl and what it's like to be a competitor, and basically why would you make the investment of the time or the cash to do it. Blair Wickett from the APC series will be joining us, and we got an action-packed show. We have a lot of Burger Barn videos of the week that we accumulated in our couple weeks off. Jason White from the West Coast is going to join us and talk about what it's like trying to buy a NASCAR truck ride and the climate and the economy in that. We'll talk about the Action Sprinter being put to rest and IROC being in the staging lane. And anything else you all want to talk about, as we're here for you guys as well. So, Adam, Chili Bowl week, exciting time. Our boss man, Glenn, you saw him today. I spoke to him yesterday. He's heading tomorrow with his whole crew down there. Buxton is another big story, or Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, announcing that they won't be opening. So we have lots of stuff. Spencer, add Psalms to the rundown at the bottom if you can. If not, don't worry about it. We'll try and remember it. I see Dave Axton is logging in, and let us know as soon as he's ready. Send him our way, Spencer. Now, are we hearing you on the air, Spencer? Because that was our New Year's resolution that when you talked, we need to hear it. No?
Spencer will no longer be a figment of our fans' imaginations. He is going to be out there in front of the people.
Yeah, he's going to have like an AI voice. But we'll get Dave on as soon as we're ready. Hey, before we get no further, it's my dad Gary's birthday tomorrow, so I want to wish Gary a happy birthday, Dad. Love you. Glad you're still living with us here and haven't decided to move out of the chaos that is our home here. So, and Dad loves the Burger Barn video of the week, so we got like 6 of them for him tonight, so that's cool. Wow, Adam, a lot has happened in 2 weeks. The climate, you got people are happy, people are pissed off, people are excited. For me, it's a great time of year. It's a depressing time of year for some folks. It's an emotional time for a lot of people. But for me, it's that mental turn the page into 2024. It's the official start of get your ass in gear.
It's one of the turning points, Clinton, for sure. Daytona 500 Chili Bowl is next. Daytona 500 as things kick off. But I think our first guest, to me, really illustrates what racing is all about. It is not always about going to the racetrack and winning. It's about conquering challenges, facing challenges, almost doing something where winning is not going to be a possibility. But it's still a freaking awesome challenge. So Dave Axton might not be a familiar name to some of our viewers. Central New York sprint car racer, longtime racer. He's in the racewear business. Spencer, can we get him up on? Dave Axton, welcome to the program. I hope you're feeling well.
I'm feeling a little better. I'm fake at the Chili Bowl right now. I'm about 3 miles away. I didn't even go over there today because I've been under the weather about a week. So I'm just kind of hanging out at the house that we rent and out here with a group of buddies. And I may or may not go over for the feature here in a little while. But for now, I'm just trying to heal up a little bit and feel a little better.
Dave, talk about what motivates you to run the Chili Bowl. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think you drive to Oklahoma knowing you're probably not an A-main contender on Saturday night, unless I'm mistaken, and you're there to win.
No.
What drives you?
So I've been coming out here 5-6 years, you know what I mean, with a bunch of friends, and honestly, since I've been coming out here, I got to meet quite a few people, and it's funny how quickly you become friends with people. So My typical thing isn't like a bought ride like most of these are out here. I am in the racewear business, so most of these rides that I do get are customers or clients of mine. So I don't typically have to rent a ride, which is nice. So, but with that, you kind of get what you pay for, right? So when you come out here, I'll be honest with you, I could probably write down on a piece of paper right here who's going to be in the A main on Saturday night, year to year, out of 370 cars. So you know, it's more of just being a part of this. For me, it's a bucket list thing. I'm trying to do a lot of things here, knowing that my driving time is probably getting to its end here in the next 2-3 years. So I'm trying to pack in as much as I can into that time, and be smart about it. You know what I mean? Could I go over to Keith Kuhn's pit and say, hey, I want to ride for next year for 25 grand? Sure. He'll put anybody in a car, but it's kind of crazy to spend that kind of money. You know what I mean? And let's face it, you look at most of these fields, these kids are, 22 years old with absolutely no fear whatsoever. And they don't have to worry about the money situation. If they wreck a car, somebody else is paying for it. So, you just come out here, you try to respect people's equipment, whoever I'm, lucky enough to get in a seat with, and, just keep it on all fours if possible, and just have a good time. And at the end of the night, hopefully have a beer and a laugh.
Dave, you mentioned a couple things in that statement that I picked out. One was, you could write down who's probably going to be in the Saturday A main on there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was going to lead to a different question before you said that, and that would be like, it seems like once you get into any race where there's 100 or so competitors, over 70, like even at the Nationals last week where we manage, it seems like no matter how good you are, luck still plays a large part in that. You need guys not to shit the bed around you. You need good draws. You need a lot of things still to go your way, even if you're good. The Chili Bowl seems like a small, tight bull ring where you're just, it's almost like, I don't know. My question is it a place where you can make your own magic? If your car's on it and you're on it, you can drive through that, even if you get early bad luck. Is it a place that you can make your own luck if you have the package?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Obviously, normally I'm the worst drawer in the pits, and I'm drawing 70, 80 and everything else, right? Well, of course, yesterday I drew 15. Puts me on the front row. That's not really what you want to be out here. You want to be 7th, 8th, 9th or so. And a guy like me would hope you'd start 7th, 8th, or 9th. Might be a couple accidents in front. You gain a couple spots, maybe a pass at one car or two cars, and that gets you some points and gets you into the action. But, if you start on the front row, you've got to win it. And, we struggled with fuel in this car. It's an R&D car. There's a builder out here in Oklahoma that I became really close friends with. He builds sprint cars and Silver Crown cars, and he's had this chassis in his head for 5 or 6 years now. We talked last year at the Chili Bowl, and he said, "Listen, I want to put this coil thing together. If you want to come out and run it, I'd like to just have some good feedback from somebody that doesn't have midget experience, really." So it worked out, you know what I mean? But we had a lot of motor problems, but the car itself was really good on Sunday in practice, and I was feeling really good. And then yesterday when the track was super, super tight in the morning, or not in the morning, but early on, it just did not, it did not like it. It's crazy tight. Still had fuel problems, wouldn't fire off well. So I knew I was dead in the water starting outside bowl. And it took a couple laps. Once it cleared out, it got better. It did like the bottom. But the problem is, everybody's on the bottom. You got to go where they're not if you want to pass a car. So, it is what it is. Just have a good time with it. And you establish relationships, and then, you hope maybe you get a deal for next year too. So that's where I am with it.
The commentators were focused on that race car. I thought it was pretty neat that they spent some time talking about it. Are they actually able to get down there? So would they have come and talked to you, Dave, and get a little bit of intelligence on what's going on? 370 racers seems daunting, but I was impressed with the attention they gave your race car.
There was a lot of people around that car all day, and I got to be honest, I've been really sick, so I was kind of hiding in different places all day yesterday. But yeah, there was a lot of people looking at that car. It's certainly different, and it's a car that's not legal for next year. So, the owner, of course, tells me, listen, car's not legal for next year, so I'm going to throw it in the junk pile anyway. Let's go out and beat it up. And that's just not me. I'm not going to beat somebody's equipment up. You know what I mean? And, he knows that. So,
Dave, if I can cut you off for a second, so we have some
yeah.
pictures of the car. So show the car, Spencer. Maybe Dave, explain what's going on here. Not that one, Spencer. The overhead of the rear and the rear suspension. What are you guys trying to achieve here? There's that and one other picture you can flip back and forth between, Spence. What's going on there, Dave?
Well, he's trying to create a coilover car that also has some torsion bar characteristics. Okay, because the torsion bar, obviously has a little bit more of a wider sweet spot, if you will. You know what I mean? So coil cars don't really like it when you got a big curb. If the track's real rough, doesn't like it. So he's trying to build here. What you're seeing is a typical torsion arm setup with a shock, and then you're seeing like an 8-inch. It is a torsion bar, but it's not. It's an 8-inch pivot bar that resembles a torsion bar with a push rod onto a spring system. So it really loves it when it's slick, and that's why I was really happy on Sunday because it was really going well. And even with the motor being only about 70% on Sunday, the car liked that slick racetrack. So but that's not what we got yesterday, and we were just too tight on throttle, and you just had to wait too long. But it's just kind of fun trying something different. And this guy, Wayne Simmons with Twister Chassis, he's been in the game for a long time. And, he builds some different types of stuff, which is kind of fun, so, he kind of wants me to take that car and bring it up to New York and just test it all over the place, and just try to play with that car and get it tuned where we need to be if possible. And then he's going to build another legal frame for next year to put everything on it. And, for some reason he wants me back. I mean, I didn't have a good showing yesterday. I was pretty embarrassed and didn't even know if I wanted to talk to you guys tonight. I was so embarrassed over it, but is what it is.
What, Dave? Full disclosure, I asked you if you could come on, and your response was, "Why would you want to talk to me?" But truthfully, a real racer will go down and face these challenges. It's easy to jump into a car is the winning car on a track that you can win at. It's hard as hell to go to Tulsa, where the whole world of racing is watching.
It's crazy.
And get into something experimental. So that's why I wanted to have you on. I think it's really cool that you've done that, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Dave, I just want you to clarify one thing for us. So that car, you said he wants you to take it. So is that suspension the illegal part, or is it the frame they don't like?
It's the frame. All of these lightweight frames that are Chili Bowl only cars that you hear about, they're all illegal for next year. So it's all tubing thickness. So this car's got really thin tubing, and honestly, more than half the Chili Bowl field has that tubing. So a lot of these cars that you're seeing, you'll never see again. They're all going to be thrown in the scrap pile. I believe Keith Coons this year did switch to the legal frames, the stuff he was running last year. And again, Keith Coons, don't sue me, but I believe they were all thinner wall stuff that was legal. But he was trying to, I believe he's into the good stuff, into the legal stuff this year, so he gets a head start for next year. So there's just a lot of that stuff out there still.
What will make you smile on Saturday?
Well, 2 years ago, the first time I ran, I got through 4 of the alphabet soups, which, surprised me, especially in the car that I was in. That car wasn't something that should have done that. So, I'd love to get through a couple. If you can get through two of those Chili Bowl, the soup things, that's great. And then, ultimately at the end of the day, and I keep telling that, Wayne, I'm like, listen, I'm not a guy that's going to destroy your stuff, so I'm going to respect your equipment. And if, he feels at the end of the day, listen, we had a good enough time or we want to do it again next year, I'll be here with my helmet, and try to have a good time again. That's all.
Dave, so as you look through this week, so much craziness going on. There was talk about the stars not going on. Is the atmosphere still the same? Like, it's still early in the week, but have we lost anything?
No, it's early in the week, but and honestly, the crowd really starts to come in, say, on Thursday night, which now with Kyle announcing he's going to be here Thursday night, it'll be even crazier. But usually, people not everybody's here Monday through Saturday. People start kind of coming in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is a big night. So, but no, it's this thing hasn't lost its luster. I'll tell you, it's bigger and bigger every year, even with some of the big names that have chosen to sit out for the past few years. And again, this has nothing to do with money out here. Nothing. I mean, the amount of money that's spent for what you're winning, everybody knows what you're in for here. You know what I mean? And honestly, none of us are gonna get rich racing at all. But this is just one of those things where, I'm standing there talking with that Anthony Ferrucci kid yesterday, and you're talking to guys that you never would think, JJ Yaley and I talked for a while, and you're like, man, where in the world are you going to get that? You know what I mean? Where you got all these different mix of people. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome, Dave.
My question for you, Dave, is procedural-wise, how did they decide what night you're in? How does that work?
They used to kind of just dish it out. You got what you got. Now it's sort of a game. Like, you can literally choose your night for the most part. Even me being a nobody could choose your night. But you'll see shuffling. You'll see guys, that might be scheduled for a Tuesday, and they'll see the lineup and they'll maybe choose to switch to Friday. And, I don't want to say, you got to be somebody to make that change, but, a lot of that is going on, and it's a little easier for some of the bigger names to make that change. But if I wanted to change my night, I could have as well. I just told them I didn't care. I'm just happy to be there. So.
Right on, man. Thanks for joining us, Dave. Look forward to seeing you in the summertime, and check another one off the bucket list. Make your way through that alphabet.
That's it. Yeah, we're going to play with the Silver Crown card this year. I got talked into a Silver Crown, so I've got a Silver Crown in my shop. We're gonna do some of that stuff with my buddy Wayne Johnson this summer, and a little 410 action, and a little 360 stuff, and just have a good time.
Right on, Dave. Good luck this week.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks, guys.
Dave Axton live from the Chili Bowl in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Appreciate his time. Adam?
And seriously, let that be a lesson. Racing is about the memories you make, the friends you make, the people who become family, traveling and meeting people and networking. I mean, Dave Axton, who knows? We could have talked to him a lot longer, but 15 years ago, would he have imagined racing the Chili Bowl and a 410 Sprint and a Silver Crown car? I just think there's so many more stories at the racetrack than what you see in Victory Lane. And there's a lot of things that are almost as rewarding as winning. Don't get me wrong. The sport is still about winning, but it's also about participating and experiencing things.
Well, the sport's 99% losing, so you got to find joys in other spots other than winning, or you're not going to make it work. Dave, traditionally right here, for those of you who don't know, as a 360 sprint car driver, was a big block modified driver, Central New York. Typically competes with ESS for those who were asking. So good luck, Dave. We look forward to seeing the summers, Adam said, back behind the wheel of a winning sprint car. Our next guest is ready. The Polar Blair is going to join us now. Blair Wickett has confirmed this week he'll be back with us live on the G-Force produced RacingAmerica.com Rev TV broadcast of the United Racing Series Late Models, the APC Series. Blair, welcome to the program. And Adam, I got to say, one of the baddest ass-looking cars everywhere we go, man. That color scheme with the red foil, it's sexy. Welcome, Blair.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
So, Blair, talk about the season and talk about the amount of work that's gone on so far this off-season for you.
Oh, God. There's been a lot of money dumped in this year. We plan on going full steam ahead this year into 2024. We plan to have a really big year for us. We couldn't have done it without the help, though, of Steve Laking. Actually, he just finished our car for the body and tin work because we had to move it over meet the rules and that. But no, he helped us out huge. But yeah, lots of work going on in the shop. Big plans coming up to run for the championship in the APC series, and hopefully do well in like the invitationals and that, like the Classic and the Grisdale Triple Crown races.
Blair, speed has not been a problem for you. The challenge for the 97 car has been getting to the end of the races, keeping the four corners on it. Have you adjusted your driving style to these 100-lap races, or is it just a matter that you're getting more experience? What's it going to take to get you to that next level where you're the perennial lead lap top 5 car?
Yeah, absolutely. We spent a lot of time trying to experiment with setup issues and that. And a couple of years ago, there I ripped the rear end of it probably 4 out of 5 races, and that didn't help us. That really set us back. But we found a lot of speed this last year, especially for qualifying in that. Putting a whole race together is still it's still not my forte yet. We're getting there though. We had 3 top 5 finishes there in a row there. But no, it's definitely we're getting there. It's probably just a lack of the old parts come back to bite us in the rear end though. So we got most of the new parts going on this car now. So hopefully 2024 it can be a solid year for us.
Blair, what track do you feel you've come the most on? What track did you used to suck at that you're excited to go to now? You got any of those on the list?
Absolutely. Sunset Speedway. I was horrible there. We experimented. We found a new setup for there, and it's been lights out. Unfortunately, at that classic, we made a wrong adjustment and lost it about halfway through the race. But no, Sunset Speedway is definitely the track that I've most improved at, I would say.
One thing I noticed with all these pictures, Blair, it is your name on the quarter panel of this race car. So you fund this deal pretty much yourself. You're a truck mechanic in Burlington, so I know what you do, and you're good at what you do. But talk about the new program that APC has put out for the series. They spent a lot of money last year supporting the champion to go down and run the Snowflake Derby. But this year they've got a new rewards program that's going to spread that money out a little bit. Do you see that being a big deal for the racers, sort of like yourself, who go race to race and pull a lot of money out of their pocket?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, you're just yourself there. I race on a budget that is race winnings to race winnings. So I use my race winnings from the previous race just to buy my tires to get to the next race. Me and my dad, we put this together ourselves basically for funding. I do have a few people that have bought me tires throughout the year last year, which helped tremendously. But for the most part, it's me and my dad. He's a registered nurse. I'm just a truck mechanic. We do it all on our own, and we do it to basically stay together in that. So after hockey finished, we needed something to do, and so this is what it is. So it keeps us together.
Blair, I know many father-son combinations out there, and it can work, but it can be tough some days. I mean, I raced with my dad for a lot of years, and shit, I don't know how many Saturdays before we load up the car, I said, can we just pack this in? We were at each other's throat, we're fighting. How's it go with your dad? Is it a good chemistry? Do you have your days? I mean, we all do, but I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but I guess the point of it can be tough working with the family sometimes, right?
Oh, 100%. I bet you there's a few wrench marks in the garage door or the drywall in the garage. I think it was a couple of years ago. He broke his toe kicking a tire because he got mad at me in the shop. But we fight over little stuff. It's usually set up or who remembers the best. But it's usually who's right and who's wrong, and we're both stubborn and we know that. But we get through it together. So,
Blair, I don't know why you owe me lunch, but you reminded me today that you owe me. Can you explain why you haven't paid me the lunch that you owe me?
You're never there at lunchtime when you stop in.
And why is it you owe me a lunch? Did I actually buy last time?
You bought me lunch. You bought me pita pits.
Yeah. Holy moly! This is breaking news. Adam Ross has a free lunch coming.
I wanted to know what you could possibly have over, Blair, that you could he would have to owe you something. What kind of bet could that be? It turns out you were just kind and bought him lunch. Blair, there's been a lot of static about the APC series, and we're here to keep this thing as positive as we can. With any type of series, there's a lot of changes. There's ebb and flow, and that brings new opportunities and new blood. I mean, we've seen it in a lot of sports when some of the top echelon guys move out or find other things to do. We're hearing Danny Benedict and Fitzpatrick are going to do other things this year. That opens the door for new opportunities and for contenders like you to step up. Talk a bit about that, about the positive end of where we're going with this.
Yeah, so I've always tried to find the positive in every situation. Now, with people like Joe Lawrence, Fitzpatrick, Benedict not coming back, it definitely opens the door, but you still got people like Steckley, Stoddy, and all those guys that are probably going to be the class of the field this upcoming year. Hopefully, I can throw my name up there in the mix. I know I've talked to Fitzpatrick a little bit in this offseason. He did say that if he didn't run full time, he was going to give me a hand around Flamborough, just because I've struggled there in the last couple of years. So I'm kind of keeping him to his word on that one, hopefully. So,
Blair, man, thanks for coming on. Looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to a couple more breakout runs. There's some up and coming drivers, and I think you've got that speed. I think it's going to be exciting this year. Some of the familiar front runners may not be out, like you guys say. That opens the door for new ones. So good luck this season, Blair, and thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Right on. The Polar Blair Wickett. Catch him there weekly with us out on the APC series. It'll be seen on racingamerica.com, produced by your friends here and yours crew truly. And we'll be excited to be back up there and be on Rev TV also.
Blair is very comfortable being interviewed. I was pleasantly surprised at how he does with the interviews and cracking off jokes here and there. And one other thing about the APC series, and as you say, I can remember with the NASCAR Pinty series, when Peter Gibbons left, everyone said, no, that's the end. When Dave Whitlock shut down his team, that's the end. When Fitzpatrick's closed their doors to their shop, oh, that's the end. It's always a fresh beginning, and right now, until someone can come along and show that they put on a better series than what Luke Ramsey and Alex Nagy and the United Racing Series does, they're the biggest game in town, and they're going to stay that way. So the challenge is theirs, and it has been for many years. Clint, you and I talked about this today. The challenge is theirs to stay at the top of their game. And they do keep making changes, and some stuff works and some stuff is a challenge. But they're going to keep on doing that. And until someone comes along to knock them off the perch, they're still the biggest game in town when it comes to Ontario late model racing.
Definitely. Spencer, let's look at those two APC slides, and then we can close that segment down. We just have the schedule quickly, Adam. We don't need to go over it bit by bit. We can look at this as the new loyalty program. So I think this is impressive, showing some loyalty after your fourth race, $150, sixth race, $250, eighth race, $450, ninth race, $600. I like it. It makes sense. It's tangible, and it's attainable, and it's clear, right? Every
team, no matter who you are and where you finish, you're eligible for that money. It's not, we're paying $20,000 to win this year. Who cares? There's only a certain number of drivers that are good enough to do it. This is for everybody. This is show-up money. So
good point.
Good for
Quick
them.
Look at the schedule, Spencer, while Adam finishes thought. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, not really. I just mean good for them. They think outside of the box. Every time you pose a challenge, and they did pose some challenges with the rule changes that have come along that they feel needed to be made. They're on a solid trajectory. But while they keep making this progress and making these decisions, they keep pumping money into the sport. And I think it's important for all of us to remember that they're doing great things.
Yeah. Thanks, Spencer. That looks great. Let's jump into, so we're still expecting Jason White and probably maybe one other guest too. So we'll see what comes knocking on the door. We're still going to talk about putting the Action Sprint Tour to rest and IROC coming in. Also, Southern Ontario Motor Speedway announcing that Henry would not be having any races and what ramifications that may be. But let's jump into a hodgepodge of Burger Barn videos of the week right now. We have just some chaos, Adam, And this just comes from stuff you, me, Spencer see on the internet, and we just share it to our dump, and it can be any kind of chaos, any kind of car-related chaos. Let's see. What do we got? I don't even know what order we're coming in. Okay, so this is the Ransomville crash we referred to. Somehow it came up. Coming down the front straightaway, it starts raining in turn 1, and every single car out of the park. Wow, and it's crazy because you and I have been at Ransomville enough to know what that is like there.
If that crash happened on opening night this coming year, that'd be about $1.5 million of race cars.
Insane. So just so you know, that's on the dirt track, just to Ransomville Speedway, just across the Niagara Bridge here. And it started a torrential downpour as they were coming out of turn 4. And by the time they got to 1, nobody could do anything to slow down the entire field to skid it off. Next one, Spencer. Okay, so this is a go-kart. This is some go-kart rage, Adam. No. Now I want to get back to this one later. I think that was a bit excessive, but
those are rentals. Those are rentals.
No, those aren't rentals. Roll it again, Spencer, one more time. Let's have a look at it.
They got bumpers all the way around them.
No, they got full gear and everything on, no?
Those are rentals, dude. He is wearing a suit, but racing carts don't have those hard plastic bumpers all the way around.
Wow. Next one. Crazy. Oh, check out this mountain bike race, Adam. Just watch this for a minute. Just watch this at work. Whoever's riding this is a master. Downhill mountain biking on a ski hill with thousands of people. Just the longer you watch it, the crazier it gets.
It's mesmerizing, right?
He's pedaling. He's still trying to get more. Look at with no traction. No, like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. It's like the more you watch it, the longer, or the whatever. Okay, next one. Woo, that looked pretty wild.
That was awesome.
Number 2.
Big contact. One
Okay,
has absolutely
you think go-karts for the joke. Watch this hit.
Turn number 1, it's one of the Inter-MS-Kart Republics. Either Paolo Ippolito or Danilo Albanese has slammed the outside wall.
Now that's a post there that is padded.
What is this going to do to Luis Speck?
See, there you can see the
see if you can cue that one up against Spencer, but man, he blasted that wall. Watch.
Oh, big contact! One driver has absolutely destroyed the wall going into turn number 1. It's
wow.
one of the Inter-MS-Kart Republics.
What was that wall going to hold other than RC cars anyway?
Has slammed the outside
no, that's true, but you know what? It did the job. It slowed everything down.
Yeah.
Show that one more time, because what you want to do, you want to avoid the cart from hitting a light pole full on. He goes towards the light pole, but watch how it slows down to the point where he stops. Dissipate, boom.
Oh.
Dissipate, boom.
He hit 2 walls there, took 2 of them out. Yeah, you're not wrong,
so, I mean,
but wow.
Yeah, vicious.
Next one. We must have a couple more still, I think. Oh, that's all you got? Okay. You didn't get the ones off Insta too? No sweat, no sweat. Okay, no sweat. We're waiting for Jason White to come and join us. Adam, so let's just talk about that Southern Terra Motor Speedway. Henry says no go this year, not going to have any races, and made a post about, you had a week to talk to him to buy the place, and it's for sale. They have a whole fan base.
They have a rabid fan base. I mean, there's some awesome. There's so much to build on down there. The challenge is he wants out of that facility what he has put into the facility. And it's just not reasonable. It's not market value. So we've seen Henry change his mind before. Perhaps he's going to do that this year. May 2-4 weekend when the weather gets nice changes a lot of people's views. But Otherwise, it's unfortunate for racers down in southwestern Ontario. Extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, I think there has been a multi-generational base down there of racers and fans that I, in my optimist glass half full, attitude, tend to think someone's going to step in there, or a few of them will step in there and try and, get the place back going. You know, it's a sad situation. So don't know much more about it at this point in time.
It's such a
you know,
good market because racing is still cool. The farther you get from a metropolitan area, the farther out into the country, the more relatable working on cars still is for young people. Right? We're not going to say we're struggling to get young people, but less and less are young people familiar with holding wrenches and tuning on cars. In more rural areas, it's still a thing to do, and you can see that because it's generation to generation to generation, tons of fans. There's still that kind of excitement. The excitement here, say Delaware, Oswego, Sunset, you have to generate it a little bit differently because I just don't think you have as many gearheads as you once had.
No, and I think, we definitely have to get more people hands-on, more people into the sport. I mean, heck, that's why we do what we're doing with the streaming match, to get more people to see what's going on. I think, we will get a few competitors. But, if you're a racer out there and you're racing in a class that only races at one track on an island, those are the guys who are really screwed there. The mini mods, those types of guys. So, like the Thunderstock guys can move around. They can sell their cars. But, man, it's tough to be in some of those other divisions. And we'll talk about splitting divisions when we get back to the Action Sprint Tour. We have two guests online. Jason White is in waiting. So let's talk quickly to Jason White about the market and what it takes to try and buy yourself a truck ride these days. Welcome from the West Coast, Mr. White.
Well,
Hey guys,
now
how you
wait a
doing?
second, Clint. Good, Jason. Wait a second, Clinton. Earn yourself a truck ride because you do have to come with money. Your money has to be good, but you also have to come with some credentials. Am I correct there, Jason?
Definitely, and sometimes these days the first part you talked about there is the part that's going to be the hardest part. But I think the talent, you got to be able to say you've been there a bit. You can't just show up and drive. But although that's a little bit what's happening in the ARCA series right now, but not in the truck series. It's becoming very, very filled up fast with talent and full-time drivers. So yeah, it's becoming a bit of a challenge for sure.
How does it change the landscape for you? So compare, what was the first year you went down there and ran ARCA? Has it been 5 years?
Yeah, this will be my 5th year running ARCA. So I don't, at this point right now, ARCA's not looking so good. But my first year down there was a great year. We finished 6th that year. And no, sorry, that was my second year. The first year we finished 12th. But, couple great years in a row of running there. And I think now it's just becoming such a feeder series that, there's 78 drivers at Daytona this weekend in the test. And there's people in there that are, quite talented race car drivers like Marco Andretti and Shane Van Gisbergen and these guys, but they all need to get certified just as everybody else did. They got to go to their ARCA test and they got to run the ARCA race. Brett Bodine has to pass them.
Yeah.
And then from there you can go up the ladder and from there I went into the truck races and stuff like that. So this will be my 6th year of truck racing if you count the Mosport, my first Mosport race there. So
Jason, I don't know how much business you want to get into it, but we all want to know, what's the bottom line you're going to pay for a truck ride or an ARCA ride these days? I come in with experience. I'm Marco Andretti, but, I lost my inheritance. What's the bare minimum I got to scratch together to get myself a truck or ARCA ride? Can you tell us any kind of math there?
Well, I could have done that a year ago. Now it's gotten kind of convoluted because what's happening is that there's not that
the market isn't overloaded with really good super speedway trucks. So we've been on the hunt for a good speedway truck because we got to get in on time and on speed. We don't have a guaranteed position in the race. The truck series is getting better for this year in the sense that, for instance, AM Motorsports moved up with Haley Deegan, so their truck isn't there anymore. So, and then Young Motorsports has dropped a truck, and there's probably 5 or 6 of those guys that we usually have to qualify against that they've dropped out, but they also don't have very good equipment. So you got to find good equipment and you got to find good trucks, and that's what Josh with Raymond Brothers and I have been trying to do, is find a decent piece that gets in on time and gets in on speed, and like I think we found a truck. I'm going down next week to have a look at the truck we're going to probably attain, and those trucks are anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000. But if you were just to arrive and drive, you're always looking at anywhere around $100,000 is going to be what you need to get into. And if you want to be in a Tricon or a ThorSport or one of the top dogs in the sport, you're going to be 150. And that's kind of where we're at with the trucks, and ARCA is not going to be far off now because the market's flooded. So, everybody wants to get in. They want to get their kids in. They want to get their kids experience. And, most of these kids aren't just the regular. Most of these kids are Trayton Lapceviches. Let's put it that way. They've been racing for a while. They're experienced. Just because they're only, 18, 19 years old doesn't mean they haven't been behind the wheel for 10 years nowadays. That's a very common thing that kids have been driving for a long time. But their families want to get them some time, and ARCA is the way to get them time. So what that does is it floods the market, and then the prices go up. And unfortunately, I know for sure I won't be in the 44 car this year, which really I was really looking forward to that. I wanted to get back and get retribution in the 44 car because that thing's just an absolute bullet. And I didn't bend it at all in Daytona and Talladega last year, so I was really looking forward to getting back behind the wheel. But somebody came along, they want to do the super speedways, they want to do 5 road course races, and the money was there, and out you go. So that's the business part of it. And I'm a businessman, so I get it. People got to make money, and basically what those guys do down in North Carolina is what I do in my excavation company. It's no different. They're selling rides and race cars, and I'm selling excavation work. It's just business. So it's something I understand it. It sucks, but there's still a small inkling that I got a chance. Andy Hillenberg's working on something for me, but I'm not getting in an also-ran car. I'm not getting in a car that's just going to run around the back. I'm not interested in that anymore. I just want to get up there, and I want to have good equipment, and I want to have the opportunity to win. And we showed that last year, being in the lead coming out of turn 4, which was a big kick in the pants. But even 2 years before that, I mean, we were at the line in the truck race in 7th place at the white flag. So, I mean, that, and we weren't waiting around in that race. We weren't sitting and waiting for the crashes to happen. We were up racing pretty much most of the race. So that's where I want to be now. I don't have any inkling of wanting to just go there just to say I was there. I've already done that. So now I want to go there and I want to stand on the podium. So that's what we're trying to build.
How
Jason,
good does it feel?
Go ahead, Adam.
All right. How good does it feel, Jason? I mean, you such a proud Canadian racer. You followed the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series and Pinty Series, and you ran mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go down south to run super speedways, and you seem to have figured it out. Your disposition is right for doing that kind of. How good does it feel to have found something that you can go out and excel in?
Well, I think you guys have heard me say this before. The NASCAR Canada Series, aka Pinty's Canadian Tire Series, is probably one of the most competitive racing series that I've ever even seen and been around in my life. And I've been around a lot of racing. So to run mediocre in that series, I think I had a lot of things against me. I didn't have as much money as the next guy. I didn't have the full-time team. I had different guys at the racetrack every weekend. And
you had a ton against you, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I look at leading those 5 laps at Mosport that year in 2010 with Derek Lynch as my crew chief and car owner as a really successful part of my career. And I tell people when I go down south all the time, like any one of our guys that's been in the NASCAR Canada Series for any length of time can go down and do this. And I laugh because I remember the days when we had our fuel cells apart at the first race, and whatever Wilcox or Tim or whoever it was had to come over and steal our fuel cell. Well, everybody else's fuel cells were sealed 2 months ago. Well, I'll tell you what, at Daytona, when you go to Daytona, there's 4 or 5 fuel cells on the ground, not sealed yet. Those guys put their pants on one leg at a time, just like we do. And it's kind of funny how people think that it's just so much better down there. It's not really. It's just a bunch of good old boys that go racing, and sure, there's the top level teams, but the bottom 50% or bottom 60% of the field is no different than we are. All of us are just racers, and we're just doing what we can as our passion to go racing. And I think going down there and being able to just listen to the people that have been around for a long time was big for me. I've been really blessed to have people like Andy Hillenberg and a guy, TJ Bell. Josh Williams was my spotter for a race. TJ Bell was my spotter last year. These guys are really experienced guys, and if you just listen to what they have to say, even as spotters, they're kind of driving the car or the truck, and you're just the nut behind the wheel, or the loose nut behind the wheel, I guess. But you just have to listen to those type of people and not go off on your own and do your own thing, because that's where you're going to have problems, and that's where you're going to really your day's going to end fast, and then nobody's going to want you to drive their vehicles anymore down there. So you want to be able to say, hey, I can keep the doors on this thing until the last 5 laps, and then after that, I'm going to bring you the steering wheel or the flag. And that's kind of, if I could go back to that last lap last year, I might have thought a little differently going into turn 3 to throw a block, but that's part of the deal. You just got to do it differently next time.
Right on. Jason, we appreciate your time tonight. Let's sum it up for us. So you're still actively looking for both rides. You figure you're going to be able to land a truck run, but the ARCA is looking slim. Is that what we can take away from it as of today?
Yeah. So, but I'm going down next week to fit my seat in the truck. We're most likely in the truck, or attempting to get into the truck race. Just don't know what that looks like, and we can't really announce anything yet because there's some sponsor stuff around it. But the truck race is looking pretty promising, and the ARCA race is a slim shot. Definitely not in the hot rod, the 44 car for McClure Racing. But Andy Hillenberg's trying to throw something together for me in a decent piece. But we'll be in Daytona for Speed Weeks, and hopefully with a real good truck for sure, and just being patient for the first 25-30% of the race, and then getting up there and racing and making sure that we're in a position to win. I've always said I'm not going to be arrogant and cocky and say I'm going to go out and win this race. I don't care what race I'm ever in. I'm just going to have a winning attitude. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to try my best to win and have a winning attitude, and that's what we're going to do going into Daytona, is just have a winning attitude and hope all the stars align and we can be standing on top of that Craftsman Truck Series podium at Daytona.
If Brock Purdy leads the 49ers to the Super Bowl, how are you going to balance your schedule?
I will make it work. I will definitely make it work. Yeah, that's.
I'm
that's
sorry, but it's the Bills.
My parents actually live like 5 minutes from the stadium in Arizona, so that'll probably be a little stopover in Arizona. But let's get there first.
I'm not even insulted right yet, Jay, because I'd be all right if it's San Fran and Buffalo in the Super Bowl. We'd be okay with that. So.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I'll tell you what, Josh Allen's coming on, and he's a gunslinger, and he can run like the wind. So, and what is he, 6'5", 245? He's a pretty big player.
He's a load.
It don't matter. I've been a Bills, Blue Jays, and Leafs fan my whole life. We don't harbor any real expectations about anything. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
try being
I will
a Canucks
be in Daytona, so I'll come and have a beer with you after the race. Either way, Jay, we appreciate your time again here tonight. And we'll follow your story. If you got news, let us know, man. We'd love to talk to you. It's great to have your inside information as we lead up to these big events.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Jason.
Right on. I got breaking news right here, Adam. Mark Rinaldi's been texting me this last half an hour. And for our fans from Southern Ontario Motor Speedway who are asking, Schweekend, we've put our schedule together. We should have it out. You can show those tickets if you want, Spencer. I was saying today we finished our ticket proofs today. We get ready. I know we're going to bring Robin on in a second. Late model open at Oshweekend will be June 21st. Brighton just announced via text to me they're going to do a late model open on the 22nd with a $1,000 bonus if you can win both Oshweekend and Brighton. So Brighton, even though they're crate late models, they're going to open it up and do a late model open on June 22nd and to battle up to the June 21st race with Oshweekend. So that's cool. He said, tell them more info coming. And if we can do it in August, we got to work on a few more things as well. So exciting news there that we can keep the Southern Ontario Motors fans at least in some excitement. Let's welcome Robin to the show. Adam, tell us why we're having Robin on the program tonight.
Robin Youngin goes from race car driver to race official to race director to now a race series owner. Robin has purchased the Ontario Legends from Kevin Foisey. Robin, congratulations and welcome to the Nut House. What were you thinking?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure what I'm thinking. I've kind of been questioning myself almost ever since I've done it. But you know what? It's always want to progress up the ladder and always challenge yourself. Challenge. And when the opportunity came up to do this, it was all in.
Spencer, show the pictures for the fans who may not know what kind of class we're talking about. And then, Adam, take it away.
Yeah, the Legends cars. And Robin always had a beautifully prepared Legends car, a color that you wouldn't forget. Robin, why these cars? What is it that you love about these cars? What is it that you see about the potential of the series that makes you excited to be leading this charge?
You know what? Anybody that's ever driven one, you know that the power to weight ratio is pretty crazy. And like I've driven late models and stocks, and these by far are the funnest things to drive for short wheelbase, weight, and lots of power. And they're all over the map. So, you know, anybody that runs the series is almost hooked. And they're still affordable. It's, you know, you can hop in one of these. If you want a starter car for $6,000 to $7,000. If you want to be a front runner, you're more up in the low 20s. And you know what? Even the starter cars at that lower price are still fairly competitive. You know what I mean? They're all spec cars, right? So you only might be a tenth, 2/10 off in a starter car.
Let's talk about what tracks you're going to take it to. How many races do you think you're going to have, and what are car counts expected to be like?
So this year we've upped it by one race. We're going to be 15 races. We're going to do 6 at Peterborough, 5 at Sunset. We're going to do 2 at Sauble Beach, 1 at Flamborough, and 1 at Full Throttle. And this winter we've been working with Great Lakes Series. And we're going to run 6 combined races. So we're going to run 2 combined races at Sauble Beach, Throttle, 1 at Flamborough, and 1 at Peterborough, and 1 at Sunset. So Blake and those guys are going to host 3 of them, and then the Ontario Legends are going to host the other 3.
Right on.
Well, it sounds pretty exciting, Robin, and I think this was important to me to get you on before the bullshit began, because it's challenging. What you've taken on is challenging. By the middle of the season, I figure you're going to look like Uncle Jesse from the Dukes of Hazzard. You're just going to have a long white beard and scraggly hair. But congratulations on taking on this challenge. You're a great ambassador for the Legends cars, and I think that energy is going to show very well when it comes to putting on a good product.
You know what? We had so many good races last year, and we put out such a good product. I think we're, over the last couple of years, the Legends have been growing so much. Every year we seem to pick up a couple more cars per night. And when we did the combined race last year at Sauble Beach, we had a few issues, but we brought 34 cars between the two of us. And I believe I heard last year it was one of the biggest fields that Sauble Beach has seen in like 20 some years. So you know what? We're hoping when we do our combined races this year with Great Lakes, we bring 30 plus. And on a regular night, I've had so many phone calls here the last week and a half, guys looking for cars. And to be honest with you, used cars up this way are hard to find with FZ09s in them. And a lot of the guys are going to have to start looking south because you know what? The class is growing and it's going to be big. You just get a couple of years from now, I think, we could be 26, 27 cars a night. And when we do the combined races, who knows what that could turn into.
No, it definitely makes sense. I mean, I had a couple with trying to get their son into motorsports around here, but they travel a lot all year long, all through the States. And I said, the best thing you can get your kid into is Legends. I mean, the car is spec. You can race it anywhere from here to Florida. On every weekend, you probably find a race or 10, So, if you're coming out of karts, it seems like it'd be a great stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Like my own experiences, the 1 week we ran, I believe we're at Peterborough. We had a week off. We changed the car over. We took my car to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, ran the road course race, turned it all around, and we're back at Sunset the next. And you know what? This summer here, I know we work really good with Great Lakes not to step on each other's toes. And I think you can race from, I want to say May 13th all the way through to mid-September between our two series and not miss a week if you want to race.
No, it's awesome.
It's pretty cool, man. We'll see you at the races, Robin. Congratulations and good luck. And thanks for making the time for us tonight.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Keep our eye on that. We got some other series to talk about. IROC back in the staging lane. Adam came out yesterday. Ray Evernham has bought the rights to the IROC, imagery and logo. Exciting news. I mean, if they can get back to it, we talked, it's nostalgic. There's, right away, I think, what kind of cars are they going to look like? Are we going to have special edition IROC cars again? I don't know. I thought it's kind of neat. We have some friends internally with SRX who kind of found it shocked that he's still a 30% owner there and doing something against what they feel is against IROC. To me, SRX and IROC are different. IROC is the big, like Daytonas and those kind of places, Michigan,
And IROC showed what good can happen when a huge corporation really invests in racing. And Clinton, I think it was you that brought it up. How many people have driven an IROC Camaro and had no idea what IROC stands for and what it was built for?
Well, you and I were talking off air yesterday. It was just about why would he do that? And I brought up, man, there's got to be a licensing deal in there somewhere to build cars, because there was millions of cars built that people don't even know, if you weren't a race fan, what IROC stood for. We talked about Southern Ontario Motor Speed. We talked about, I guess the last topic is putting the Action Sprint Tour to rest, Adam. The Action Sprint Tour ran for 6 seasons. It was amazing for the crate sprints. I think, we did a lot of good things to help grow the crate sprints. And, as the creator of the series, if anybody thought that, I was going to do something that would hurt the crates, it's crazy. But the series had issues where it was hurting the crates on its own. First off, let's look at some of the factors. 36, 37 cars last weekend on a Friday, only 16 show up at Maryville. Anybody internally with my crew knows I've always said 3 solid heats or we can't do it. With my promoter hat on, if you call me with your Legends cars and you can't bring me 24 cars, I don't want to deal with you. And if you can't bring me less than 18, forget my number. Like, don't even call me anymore. So How could I be hypocritical like that? I've been saying, too, all these pavement divisions out there with 10, 11 cars, what the hell are you doing? We were getting to that on the road. So before we embarrassed ourselves in the class and everything, but there were other factors, too. The other thing I've been thinking about a lot that I wanted to bring up on this is, since you like to riddle me, here's a quiz for you, Adam. We talk about divisions all the time. What's the biggest problem with divisions in Ontario?
Well, there's too many of them and not enough cars.
I'll tell you right there. That's it. There's too many of them. So we have too many divisions. What we have to be careful with these touring series, and we've seen it on the asphalt side as well, is that we are not creating a series within a series. And what I mean by that is we had teams from the Action Sprint Tour who said, I'm not going to race weekly. I'm just going to follow the 10-race tour. Well, that pisses off the home tracks who are part of this deal, trying to get this division up, supporting it to get it going, that doesn't do them any good. So, we're hurting our partner tracks by running the tour. Then it was talked about bringing it from east-west regional into one national tour. Well, where the economy's going, people aren't going to travel. If they're not going to drive 1 hour from past Oshweekend to go to Maryville, they're sure as hell not going to drive 5 hours past to go to Can-Am or Brockville. And it's not to mean that the Brockville racing isn't good down there. It just, what we had last year worked amazing. We paid out massive amounts of money for crate sprints for the support division. We took care of everybody. But at the end of the day, it was time to put it to rest. I think you're going to still see everything we had before, all the major events we had before. You're just not going to see that point fund at the end, the carrot at the end of the road for these guys. But what you are going to see is increased payouts at major events. So, for example, Brighton is still going to have their Labor Day weekend. We agree it's going to be $2,000 a night to win, a grand bonus if you can win both. Oshweekend Speedway still putting crates on as part of our TSN package, and on with the NASCAR broadcast on the Thursday and Friday to make sure it's part of the big show there. And we still have the Canadian, crate, or the crate nationals at the end of the Northern Crate Nationals, I should say, at the end of the year, which is, we still have amazing events going on. I'm sure Humberstone's still going to do their year-end event, Oh,
what I love
before you go, just let me get this out. When I talk about bonus, and Brockville and Can-Am now have the Double W program where if you can win both those Friday, Saturday, you get extra $250. Go ahead, Adam. Just want to give them props.
The one thing I love about what you did with crate sprints, and Clinton, it is you left them better than you found them. So whatever happened with the Action Sprint Tour was all good. At this point in time, right now, it is a better time to have a crate sprint car than it has ever been. So job well done. And I think that's, people need to see the writing on the wall.
I think you need to know when it's time to go. Hey, Knights of Thunder had ran its course. It was time to pass it off to the SOS and back out of that. It was time to move on from the Action Sprint Tour as well. Some of our sponsors had moved on. We were in a bit of a pickle there, but there were so many other factors, and I think car count is where it was at the core of it. If we can't provide our partner promoters with solid, and Adam, you were with me at Edmonton. We had staffing issues. I had car count issues, and I'm on the other side of the country trying to figure out who can go and tech these cars and be a race director for me. It just got to be a little too much for 13, 14, 16 cars, if that makes sense, So I think in the end, it'll be stronger.
That's a great question, Mike. How many asphalters are moving into crates this year? I think fewer than you think. I think there was a big hype. There's a lot of buzz. People are able to jump into a car and test. I think when the green flag flies on opening night at Oshweekend, you'll see that a lot of it was has dissipated through the off season.
I say 5's the over-under. I think you're going to see 5 new dirt drivers. Maybe not in crates or maybe not in 360, but you'll see 5 pavement drivers making the switch this year. That's my prediction.
Maybe not in crates, maybe not in sprints. Yeah, I can see it. I'm not knocking
if we get a mini stock driver who comes over like we did last year, like Sean Taylor did, sure. That would count for my 5 count, I think,
But let's not panic just yet about pavement racing. Is there challenges? For sure there's challenges. But none of the people who have made announcements this week are leaving the sport. Right? That's the problem. If someone closes their shop and says, look, we're buying a fishing boat, okay, you've got an issue. If people are saying we're adjusting our plans, that's different altogether.
I hope I'm not insulting the Todishes and Sunset, but what I'm going to say here, because I think the world of Brian and Sandra and Speedway. But there was a time a year and a half ago where if I was running Sunset, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. And look what they've turned that place around in the last year. Whoever's behind it, Spencer, Brendan, the guy, whatever it is, it's been a fantastic job. They got great promotions. Their social media is the talk of the town. It's not all doom and gloom. You got to work at it, though, and you got to turn it around, and it can be done. There's a lot of passion for pavement racing here in Ontario. Hey, I was the biggest dirty snob ever, but if anything, our association with APC and G-Force has opened my eyes to all the great people, personalities, and great tracks. Hell, man, I've fallen in love with pavement racing because I gave it a shot. And now I love it. It's been awesome.
Well said. Well said. We'll follow the evolution, folks. It's great to be back. I do want to mention I had my first Mindwell session in a long, long time last month. We're going to start doing them live in person this month. I know mental health is front of mind for a lot of people. I've had my battles over the holidays. So hang in there, folks. Reach out if you need any support whatsoever. I'm pretty easy to find on the socials. I wanted to make sure we got that out during the show, Clinton. And I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running. Great to be back.
Yeah, I think so. It's great. We'll have more positivity about everything coming up here as we try and do it every week. Mike Kura says daily schedule looks good. We'll talk about that next week as well. That dropped later today. But there's another success story. I mean, where was Delaware 7-8 years ago? Adam, not where they are today. So
Nope.
It can be fixed. We appreciate everybody. All the positivity is what we need for 2024. Let's concentrate right now on bringing some new friends to the races and showing them how cool the sport is. Spencer, we love you, but get your damn microphone working or you're fired. Spencer, good luck this week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Adam, about everything else in the world.
Peace out.
See you guys.